Hello and welcome to Mentra Moments. I'm your host and current content marketing intern, Lauren Pearson. And today I have Troy with me. I'm so excited to talk with you today, and I'll pass it over to Troy to introduce themselves.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Thanks for inviting me to be on today and answer a few questions. This is very exciting. I'm a lawyer in Columbus, Ohio. I'm autistic, ADHD, and I found this out later in life, actually earlier in this year. I'm now 43 years old. So it's been an interesting journey, and I am very happy to be open about it and sharing my experiences. It was a huge relief for me when I found out, and I hope to work towards normalizing especially autism within the community and have more people aware of it, especially within professional contexts.
Yes, that's definitely something that we try to utilize at Mentra. So we really appreciate that and everything that you do surrounded by that and your advocacy and professional development and everything like that. So without further ado, I'll jump into the questions. So how does your neurodiversity allow you to perceive the world differently? And then, yeah, that's basically our first question.
Okay, how does my neurodiversity, I am very logic based. So the way that I see the world differently is without the emotion that a lot of people bring to situations and problems. It can be a challenge in certain instances, such as with social interactions and understanding people and the emotional response that people might have to something that I say that I mean well, coming from a good place. But I sometimes miss that. Flip side for me and the positive is that I can analyze problems. I can look beyond what people are said, the words that people are using to maybe what their intent is or what the meaning is behind it, or how to solve a problem that other people can't get past an emotional block associated with it. That's definitely very helpful for me in how I perceive the world a little bit differently.
Mhm. So at Mentra, we believe neurodivergence is an asset more rather than a weakness. And we kind of coined the term neuroexceptional talent. And this kind of refers to your unique strengths that no one else has. So in lieu of that, what's your neuroexceptional talent?
Well, I have my special interest that I've been involved with my whole life. We are talking about zodiac stuff
Yeah.
before we started recording. I've got into feng shui and law. My big one has been for the longest period of time has been the law. It's really fascinating to me. I've always thought of everything that I learned in law school of how can I use this to sue somebody or defend a lawsuit, and it allowed me to get into it quite deeply. So the time that I would say my exceptional talent is spending a lot of times on things, but in return for doing that, it gives me a depth of knowledge um, that I find might isn't necessarily always there with other lawyers.
Yeah, definitely. And this kind of relates to like your advocacy. So how do you empower neurodivergence, in your job and other advocacy efforts that you do?
Yeah, very, very good question. I actually, I'm certainly very open about things on LinkedIn. My existing network before I became open with autism was a lot of lawyers, and I know that a lot of lawyers in my community have seen my post because I can see sort of some things on the back end. So the more that I can get out there in the community and talk about it, it's positive. From a employer standpoint, I actually hired my first openly autistic person assistant yesterday. So this is her second day. I'm very excited about it. I actually I self-disclosed, and then she was kind enough to disclose to me, and she gave me permission to say this to indicate she's open about it. But when I understood during the interview process that that was how she viewed the world as autistic, it enabled us to have a really cool conversation and get a little bit deeper on things, and really it helped in my mind sort of push her over into the hired category because I value that quite a more actually more than I used to now that I've discovered that I am autistic as well. But it's keeping an open mind, and a lot of my posts deal with that also to provide context and vulnerability for myself and things that I've experienced, especially as a kid growing up, but then also as an adult, as an employer, what we can be doing as employers to open the world up a little bit more to additional perspectives, as well as give people, I think, the comfort in being open about their own disabilities and having those accepted by an employer.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was a great response.
Thanks.
So kind of tying into that, yeah, Mentra, we foster the relationship between employers and neurodiversity advocacy. So we recognize the importance of this connection. This kind of ties into the last question, and you kind of touched on it a little bit with your experience with employment. But for other neurodivergents that are looking to get a job, what would your advice be?
It's a good question. I would say, I'd say be open about your neurodiversity. I know that there's a lot of fear. I try very hard never to make a decision out of fear. So if there's a situation I walk into and the downsides to something are more about being afraid of something, I just say, forget, that's not a reason to really focus on. So I wouldn't be afraid of it. You might not get some jobs because of it, but you might get others because of it. And quite frankly, you're going to want to work for an employer who is going to want to understand, want to work with you. And the compassion, the patience, the understanding, the wisdom to bring you on board and really help you grow in the unique way that you need it. You do need, people who are neurodiverse need communication styles that are a little bit different. It's just not with friends, but it's also in workplaces. So if everybody, not only your employer, but quite frankly, people around you can understand that this is something that you struggle with, then they can bring great understanding to it as well. I posted out there a while ago and I said, look, wouldn't the world be different if we just assumed everybody had an invisible disability? And I think the answer to that is yes, but then you ask why? Why would it be different? And the response is because people would be more compassionate, right? People would be more understanding of others if we just assumed everybody was coming from a good place, one, and two, had some kind of invisible disability. So you apply that to the business world and companies, and it's like, don't even let them guess. Don't have everybody assume you have a disability. Tell them you do, because you're probably actually going to get a little bit more compassion, and you'll probably get people viewing you a different way than if they think to themselves, oh, this person doesn't like anybody, or they're antisocial, or why aren't they going to the parties that we're throwing or going out to happy hour or whatever. If they know, oh, we've got a sensory overload situation, or they're not comfortable with this right now, then you might find you actually have a better experience at that employer. So I would say, go for it. Go for it totally.
Yeah, no, I like 100% agree with that. My young self being neurodivergent and, getting into the workforce, I wasn't, maybe tailored for typical, retail jobs or food working service like my other peers. So disclosing my neurodivergence has really actually helped me gain opportunities that, are more tailored to my needs. So I'm thankful for Mentra and thankful for individuals like yourself who, make that community open and accepting. And I totally agree with that. I think if we all had like that collective understanding of personal boundaries and also just personal, not necessarily preferences, but need for accommodations, I think it would definitely be a much better place. So I really agree with that.
And sometimes people will say, well, I own my own business and I don't want my clients to know. I'm very open about it. Although I need to still update my website now that I'm talking. I got that on my list of things to do. But I will tell you that I was talking to a new client that was considering me recently, very successful, very, 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 very wealthy. And he had this particular issue that I'm pretty good at solving in particular. And he was actually referred to me by another lawyer, but he disclosed on the phone to me that he was neurodivergent. And that never happened before I was open about it. But the fact that he felt comfortable saying that, and we didn't talk too long about it, but we had a little bit of discussion. I tend to think it's because there's an awareness out in the community. He knows that I am neurodivergent, and he felt comfortable doing that. So I think he signed up. He is a client of ours now, and maybe partly because there is that shared interest. There's so many people who it either affects, or you've got a family member or a close friend who are neurodivergent. So I think the world is really open to acceptance and understanding. So kudos for you for doing it, and the job you found that works real well with you and who you are. And I'm glad it seems like you're very happy doing it. So congrats
Thank
for
you.
doing that.
Thank you so much. And congrats for all the stuff that you've done this far, disclosing and spreading awareness and, in that professional world, because as someone who, wants to get into the professional world, after undergrad, post-grad, it's really refreshing to see new perspectives. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, good luck with college and what comes next for you. And there'll be a whole wide world of things I imagine you'll get to experience. So good luck.
Thank you. Okay, so for our last question, feel free to promote yourself. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, how can they reach you?
Yeah, I have a website. It's in progress, but it's troydoucet.com, TROYDOUCET.com. My email is troy@troydoucet.com. And I'm big on LinkedIn as well. So feel free to follow, and you can shoot me a DM if you'd like there. But I'm certainly happy to chat with people and provide whatever kind of help I can. I'm not getting 1,000 messages a day just yet, so I have time to help people out as they need it. I'd like to do as much good at this planet as I'm here. So whatever I can do, just let me know. Happy to try.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, that's great. And that concludes our Mentra Moment segment with Troy. Huge kudos and thank you to you for, participating and wanting to do this. It means a lot to me and our mentor community. I'm sure people are going to get a really good response from this. And on that note, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Thanks, Lauren.